Okay, good morning, everybody. Shavua Tov. We are left off last week on Daf Vav Amud Bet. We're going to start with the Gemara right after the two dots. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. And we are going to this Gemara very, very slowly, because each line of this Gemara has jewels and diamonds in it. And if we hew it properly, I think we're going to discover some incredible, not credible, but simple, learn the pshat of this Gemara will have major ramifications in halacha. Various Rishonim break their teeth trying to figure out what's going on in the sugya. But if we do it really slowly, I think we're going to have a much greater appreciation for what the Gemara is saying, and we're going to see actually that Rashi, I think, really understands the pshat of this Gemara. So I'm much more interested in just understanding the Gemara than even trying to get into various Rishonim. Maybe we can do that later on, but let's do this slowly and take our time, because there's a lot of concepts that are being thrown out at us. Let's begin. Okay. Amar Rav Yehuda. Amar Rav. Habodek tzarich shivatel. So here we go. We've done bedikat chametz. What must we do? We must do what afterwards? Bittul. Okay. Says BJ, we need to do bittul belev. Now, that's what Rashi would say, right? That's what we need to do, bittul belev. Now, when am I doing? We've already established, when do we do bedikat chametz? The night before, right? So it's now Leil or Basar, right? So it's an opening Mishnah, right? So it's now, what this year, B'digat Chametz is a Thursday night, right? We say it's a Friday night. So Thursday night, we've done B'digat Chametz. I need to do Bittul. Now, why do I need to do Bittul, gentlemen? Why? Why must I do Bittul? Is this a Chiyuv Midaraisa? Is it a Chiyuv Midarabanan? Is this a what would be the rationale behind it? So, Rov Rishonim learn that's only Midarabanan. Why? If I've done B'dikat Chametz, I don't have any Chametz. I've done B'dika. So I've found, or let's say, for example, I found my 2 cakes and my 3 crackers, and I found my Oreos cookies, right? And I found them all. So at some point in time, I'll destroy them, or I'll consume them, or I'll give them to Chris, or whatever, I'll deal with them at some point in time. So it says, Amar Rav Amar Rav, you know what we should do though? Even though, despite the fact that I can have 0 chametz by Pesach, still just do bittul. Why might I want to do bittul chametz? I don't need to. Why would I need to? If I've taken inventory over what I have in my house, if I've set aside my breads and my cookies that are still chametz, and I've figured out how to deal with all of them before Pesach begins, I'll sell them, I'll eat them, I'll destroy, whatever I'm going to do with them, right? Why should I still do bittul chametz? Why?
So you're not over the isser of bali matzah.
But I know I don't have any chametz in my house. I've just a b'dikat chayv.
But you don't know. You're human. You don't know.
So explain what you mean by that. Maybe what?
Maybe you overlooked something.
Very good. That's the next line of the Gemara. My time. So what's the rationale behind that I have to do? But what's the rationale behind why I need to do bittul chametz? I've done b'dika. I know what I have in my house, in my backyard, in my office, in my car. I've done a very good job. Says the Gemara the following. My time, what's the rationale behind it? Listen very carefully. Inami mishu perurim. Maybe, you know what, I forgot. I have a couple of scraps. I got a few crumbs, right? Perurim. Perurim are what? Crumbs, scraps, right? Halo chashivi. It's a chashiv. V'chi tema kevan deminter lehu agav beiti chashivi. If you are worried that what might happen, by the way, this is going to connect to Shemitah in a minute. If you are worried that what might happen, you might come to close the door of your house. So let's go through this for a second. If I have crumbs in my house, and I want to close my front door, so am I in fact saying that people should come and anybody could come and take this? Is my saying this is not chashuv? Am I saying this is something which, let me phrase it differently. If I have crumbs and I close my front door, I am not allowing people to take them. If I leave my front door open, people could come in and take it. You remember what Rashi said? Rashi said, what's the status when I do bittul? I'm taking all the food that I have and making it into dust, right? So if I have made it into dust, but I say I could leave my front door closed, and I have good cakes and cookies, let's say. So the problem might be is that what am I doing? I'm not really treating this as dust, because by closing the door, I'm still connected to it. So what the Gemara goes on to say here is, and this is how I think it has to be understood, is what is the rationale behind if I have just cookies, if I have scraps? So says the Gemara, that's not chashav. And if you kaven deminter lehu agav beite, if I leave a garden in my house, that's chashav. It's not a problem. Why? The Gemara continues. Vatanya. We saw this Gemara a long time ago. Sofo te'enu meshamer sadehu mipnei anavim. Sofo anavim meshamer sadehu mipnei mikushot mipnei midalot. Bizman shebalabait makbir alehem osrim. Mishum gezel v'chayvinam b'maiser. Bizman she'ein balabait makbir alehem mutarim mishum gezel upturim mishum maiser. So again, Havamina is the following. We know that if you have sofotanium or like unripe tanium, like what's a better word for that in English? Whatever, we'll call them unripe tanium, unripe fibs. When is something chai for meiser? Something is chai for meiser if I bring them into my house and I actually want them. But if there are things that are scraps, then they're not chai for meiser. But not even my house, my field. So if I close the gate of my field and I makbir alehem, they're chai for meiser. But if I say, these are sofatinim, this is disgusting, maybe I'll munch on one here and there, but I'm not going to bring it in and sell it and export it or give my family to eat. This is chazarai. Such food is not chayef for meiser. Okay?
But only if you leave your gate open.
So if it's sofotainim, I can close my gate on that. I didn't explain. If it's sofotainim, what does he say here? Wait. Right. So if I'm makbir alehem, so you're right, if I'm makbir alehem and I close my door, so what am I saying? I'm saying I'm makbir. I'm saying that I actually want it for myself, then I'm chai for meiser. But if I leave my door open, if I say, you know what, or I'm not makbir alehem, I don't let anyone take them. What do I care? Then people can come and take them. But when it comes, what's the Gemara here saying? That if I have scraps and I close the door and I have scraps, it doesn't mean that I want them. I'm allowed to close the door take a look. Here, look at the Rashi here on Vahat. Look at the Rashi, guys. V'chi tema kevan deminter lehu agav beite. Im shar mamono hu mishamrinan kshehu noel beito l'shamro nimtza mishamer kol ma shebetocho hilkach chashive. So, when is the problem? If I have my sofotainim, and I have with my sofotainim other things that are chashuv, right? Meaning, I have my scraps of tainim, and I also have my very good, shall we say, and I also have my good food. So in such a case, I upgrade my scraps. That's why I didn't explain that properly. When the Gemara asks, "V'chi tema kevan deminter lehu agav beite chashuve," what is the Gemara asking? If I have scraps, and in it I also have something that's good, meaning, if I have my cakes and cookies, and I have my scraps of chametz, and if I close the door, then I take my scraps, and they're upgraded because I'm protecting myself from the other good food. But if I only have my scraps and I close the door, that's not a problem because they're scraps. So the Brisa comes along and says, what's the case? The case that the Brisa is referring to is, now read the next Rashi. Mishamer sadeu mipnei anavim. See? Ubal abayit zeh mishamer sadezo shelo yikansu bnei adam letocha. If I lock the gate of my backyard, my field, right? And I lock it, right? You see here? But I'm not doing it because of te'enim. Elam b'pnei sheyesh ba anavim. Sha'adain lo higia eit habatzir. Or sofot anavim. So if I say the following, listen, I have anavim, te'enim, which are beautiful. And I also have sofot te'enim. I also have unripe grapes or unripe figs. So I'm not allowed to say the following. I'm going to take maaser only on the good ones, and the scraps, let everyone else take them. And what do? I'll lock my gate. Why will I lock my gate? I don't want people to take my beautiful fruits, my figs, and my grapes. I want to protect them. And I'll take maaser from them. But on the scraps, anyone can take them. You're not allowed to do that. Why? Because by locking the gate, it's true no one will get your grapes, but no one's also going to take your sofotenim. No one's going to take your lower grade grapes or lower laid figs because you've locked the gate. You can't play it both ways. So, meaning, by locking your gate, you're upgrading against your will your subpar fruits. And what in fact are you saying?
They're worth something to you.
That they're worth something to me.
By attaching them to the
by attaching them to what's there. So if I have,
if you only have sofotenim.
If I only have sofotenim, then I can lock my gate. That's the chiddush of the Breita. Okay. So again, if I have subclass grapes, and then I have beautiful grapes, and I say my beautiful grapes, I'm makbir aleihem. They're worth a lot of money, so I'll take maaser from them. I'll do what I need to do from them. But my lousy grapes, let people come and take them. I'm not makbir aleihem. I'm not chai for maaser. You can't do that. Why? Because by locking the gate, you've upgraded them to desired and wanted, and you're chayav to give maaser on them. So what do we see from here, though? If you only have sofotim in your field, you've already harvested your entire field. You've stored them in your storehouses. You've tithed, you've done whatever you needed to do. And all you have are scraps outside. Do you have to leave your gate open? No, you can close your gate on sofotim. Why? Because they're subpar fruits.
It's like known that they're not worth anything.
It's not worth anything. So if people want to come and take them, great. If you want to go, but the moment you lock your gate, you've taken something which is subpar, despite your intent, and upgraded it to something which is chashuv. And something which is chashuv is very problematic you can't guard it, because once it's chashuv, you're chayav for maaser. Okay, so what are we seeing from here? Let's connect it to chametz. If you have beautiful cakes and cookies, and you also have scraps, and you close the front door of your house, you've upgraded your scraps to real chametz. But what did we just say in the Gemara? The Gemara asks, why do I need to do bittul? Why should I do bittul chametz for? I've already checked. I've taken the inventory. I don't have any chametz come Pesach. Why do I need to do? You want to tell me because I have scraps in my house?
If you close it up,
doesn't matter if I have scraps in my house. They're not chashuv. So the Gemara asks, why? Back to original question. Why must I do bittul chametz? Again, let's read that Gemara one more time. You'll understand it now. What's the reason? Halo chashuv. If you want to tell me it's because I have pirun chashuv. After all, if you want to tell me that it gets upgraded and makes them chashuv, vatanya sofotenim mishamar sadeh mipnei navim sotenim mishamar sadeh mipnei mikshot umipnei dlaut bizman shebabayit makbir aleihem asurim mishum geza v'chavim b'maiser bizman she'ein babayit makbir aleihem mutar mishum geza upotra mishum maiser. So meaning, if I have real food there, right? If I have real food over Pesach, so then I'm in big trouble. If I have real food over Pesach, I'm chayav for much more, right? But if I have scraps, so what's the problem? So how is doing bittul going to help me? Bittul is not going to help me, because hopefully I don't have any food. I've done great bedikat chametz. Do you want to tell me I just have scraps? If you have scraps, who cares? Why need to do bittul over scraps? Scraps don't matter. Scraps are nothing. Let's continue. Therefore, Rava, no. What's the reason why I must do bittul after bedika? Says Rava, Gzera Shema Yimatze Geluska Yafe Udlate Aluei. So here we see something fascinating. Says Rava, what's the problem? So BJ said 10 minutes ago, the problem is I might find a beautiful cake and cookies. I'm a human being. Maybe I thought I did b'dika, I checked every nook and cranny, and what happened? I'm going to discover that I forgot right there in the corner, in the bookcase, a beautiful Gruzinski's Glutska Yafa, a cake.
Yeah.
Now, but then the Gemara says, but what's the problem? Might be the problem. Let's say I find it. So what? Uda'ate ilue. And what's going to happen? I am going to fall in love with it. I'm going to fall in love with it. Look at Rashi. Chashuva hi beinav. You see? Vidatu aleh. Chashuva hi beinav. It's chashuv. This is not scrap. If it's a scrap, it doesn't matter. If it's a crumb, who cares? But it says Rashi, Chashuv hi beinav. This is a cake. V'chas aleha l'sorfa. And I'm not going to want to burn it.
Well, this kind of raises the question.
Now, yeah. Let me finish one second. Umeshahe afilu rega achad. I'm going to delay. I'm going to tarry 1 second, 1 minute, 1 moment. V'nimsa over aleha v'bayira v'bayimatzeh. And I will then transgress bayimatzeh. Avam lisha batla. 1 second. If I do bittul, over delo katov aleha tashbitu. We're going to go back to this Rashi in a minute. Yeah, because there's a lot contained in that Rashi. Go.
Well, this just kind of raises the question for me as to why exactly until this point the assumption was that B'dika necessarily meant that you were going to get rid of everything that was like...
We assume that Jews will do a good job in B'dika. Meaning, you'll inspect your house. Mm-hmm. All B'dika means is that I'm investigating what I have.
Right.
So if I find bread, I'll eat it, destroy it, sell it. If I find cookies, I'll just sell it. If I find nothing, that's b'dika means. So if I don't have any chametz in my possession, why do I have to do bid'ah for? I have no chametz. Why didn't I sell 200? I don't do anything. I have no chametz. I've discovered I have no chametz, or the chametz I discovered, I will figure out what to do with. Right? Burn, sell it. So why should I do bid'ah? I don't have the chametz. Or the chametz that I found, I'm going to deal with. I will enter Pesach chametzless. Why? I do more than that.
So that's what I'm wondering. Is the assumption that B'dika means you will get rid of it, or is the assumption that you might
so according to Rashi, Machalek Rashi Tosfot, way back in the beginning, Rashi felt that B'dika Chametz means you will investigate what you have in your possession. How you're going to deal with it depends on your mood. Depends on your situation. If you have 10 kids at home, and you discovered 2 loaves of bread, well, that you could eat in the Erev Pesach in the morning, you're done. If you discover 2 loaves of bread, and you live by yourself, then you have a serious situation here. You have to burn it. You're going to have to do whatever with it, right? You'll deal with that. That's what Rashi says. Tosfos says no. B'dika chametz basically is synonymous with burning or destruction of chametz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do we say that you're not over on Baliyah and Balimatze, if the thing that you want or that you see is Mivato?
What a great question. Excellent question. If I do, okay, let's go through this. What we just read is the following. Let's say I do bittul. Bittul chametz. Ko chamirav chamir. Dikar b'shirti. What do I say this is rendered as? Dust of the earth. Afar, right? Dust of the earth. And now I discover it. Because remember, what's the Gemara saying? Maybe I'll find the Luzka Yafa cake. Rashi doesn't just say maybe you're going to find it. What does Rashi say the problem might be?
You'll fall in love with it.
And Chas Aleha Lasarfa.
You have to want to get rid of it.
And I might be... What would happen if I would get rid of it right away? And I did bittul. Sorry. And I didn't do bittul. If I were to find... This is where we have to go very slowly. Listen to this chiddush of Rashi. I did not do bittul. I did b'dika. I find a loaf of bread. It's beautiful. And I'm not chasal le'elasarfa. I destroy it right away. According to Rashi, by over in the middle of Pesach,
No.
Not over, according to Rashi. What's Rashi only worried about?
If you delay.
If I delay.
But if you
Chiddush?
bittul, then you're...
No, Rashi holds, even without bittul, if I find chametz on Pesach, what's Bali Rabbi Matzeh? Bali Rabbi Matzeh for Rashi doesn't mean that I'm going to find it in my possession. It's much more than that. It's I'm going to want it in my possession. But if I see a beautiful gluska yafe and I destroy it, I see it like, oh my goodness, and I go, and I blow it up into smithereens on Chol HaMoed Pesach. I destroy it, whatever, maybe different means, what exactly to do, and you don't have to forget, we'll say Chol HaMoed, just easier. I destroy the Chol HaMoed, then what's no problem? The problem might be, though, is I was going to say beautiful cake, and I'll be like, oh, a beautiful cake, Krasinski, it's $20. It's the icing and the sugar, it's so delicious. But I should really destroy this Pesach. What am I thinking? I gotta destroy it, Pesach. And I go destroy.
This is fresh as comics.
There you go. Those are not going to, right, exactly. Right? So in a situation like that, guys, that's what Rashi's worried about.
Okay,
But therefore, according to Rashi, I did bittul, and then I see the cake. Am I over? Even if I delay a little bit, am I over?
No, you did
No,
bittul.
because I did bittul. So, although the problem, so I did bittul. When did I do bittul? Erev Pesach in the morning, let's say.
If you do bittul and you don't get rid of it, you just keep it.
So that could be so let's say I keep it for a long period of time. Am I nullifying the bittul that I did a few days ago?
You don't get rid of it because it's already volatile. You don't need to get rid of it. You're thinking, oh, it's there, but I don't.
If I declare today that this, let's pretend it's actually good. If I declare today that this Miss Freshly's cupcake is dust of the earth, and I mean that seriously. Let's say it's authentic. I mean it. Dust of the earth. 4 days later, which happens with Chol HaMoed Pesach, I discover it. Am I obligated? Let's talk about Minatorah. Minatorah, am I obligated to destroy this? I have to clear this off the earth. Am I obligated to destroy it?
I mean, not really.
Minatorah, no.
It's just dust.
No, it's just the earth. Let's say I find this after Pesach. I'm obligated to destroy it? Minatorah? Why? It's just the earth.
Thing, no?
Same thing. We know Chazal give you knas and a chametz shavar lava Pesach, but that's not Minatorah. That's only Midrabanan. Chametz shavar lava Pesach, right?
What can you do with it? Anything? You can get hana from it. You could sell it.
I made it just earth. Why can't I do it?
Awkward story.
Minatorah. Why can't I do it?
Okay, so last week.
Right? No, Midrabanan, they made a knas, but there is one Rishon. Couple Rishon will put that as Minatorah. I don't see how that's
Minatorah, can you eat
Minatorah.
it after Pesach?
Yeah, sure. Minatorah. Why can't I eat this after Pesach? It's after Pesach. What's wrong with eating food after? What's wrong with eating bread after Pesach? No, maybe it's a mitzvah. I don't know. Only Motzei Pesach, they have pizza as a mitzvah, I don't know, right? So, it's a little strange, right? That the dough that like a few minutes ago you're over in Yisr Minatorah, well, I guess in Chutzar it's just 5 hours earlier Yisr Minatorah, right?
Yeah.
Outside it, it's like the most hot commodity. So, what the Rashi seems to imply is that why do I need to do bittul? Only because I'll find a beautiful cake. By the way, would that ever happen to crumbs? Would that ever be? No, of course not.
Fall in love with crumbs.
You don't fall in love with crumbs, you fall in love with beautiful cakes.
Depends we're talking about the...
And by the way, interesting, Rash uses the example of a gluska yafa. He doesn't even say, pot. Because let's face it, no one falls in love with bread, I don't think, right? Even on the first day of Pesach, you're still not craving bread. You might fall in love with something beautiful, like a cake, right? That's the real issue. Okay, let's go on.
How much longer?
2 hours. Okay,
Oh, seriously, how much longer?
20 minutes. Let's go on. So here, says Rava, Gzeira, Shema, Yimtza, Galuska, Yafa, without telling him. So again, according to Rashi, the issue is, if you don't do bittul, and you come across a cake that you never found on during B'dikat Chametz, you will not want to burn it right away, because it's singing to you and talking to you, because it's so good looking. Then you'll be over by your Matzah. Which means, the conclusion is, you can infer from here, if you were to see it and destroy it instantaneously,
Not be over.
you would not be over. Even without a bittul. Right? You're not over. Because for Rashi, definition of Bal Yoreh, Bal Yimatzeh means it's in your possession and you don't. So the fact that it's in my possession. By the way, let's go through another example. Let's say I would have never discovered that Gluska Yafa. I had to the whole time. I did not do bittul. I never found that cake. The cupboard was closed the entire Pesach for whatever reason. I had my tefillin in it, you know what I mean? And I don't put on tefillin Shechal Moed. So next to my tefillin was a beautiful piece of cake. I did not discover it. Comes the next morning on Isri Chag, and I open up my cupboard to get my tefillin. I discover a beautiful cake. I didn't do bittul. According to Rashi, am I over? Was I over? And by your Rabbi Matzah.
No.
Very good. According to Rashi, I wasn't even over by Matzah. But I had cake in my possession over Pesach. Answer: that is called Chametz Lo Yadua. On Chametz Shelo Yadua, you're not over. According to Rashi. Not everyone's going to agree to that. Other Rishon are going to hold that. If I saw remember I was saying as a Rosh, the Rosh holds it. If you didn't know it, too bad, you're over. Now, according to the Torah, can I eat that cake after Pesach?
No.
Yeah.
According to Torah, there's no problem.
Because there's no problem. Yeah. It's only Chametz on Pesach, no? After Pesach, it's totally fine. So Chazal give you a knas, you shouldn't da. But you know Torah, so what?
What's Chazal's problem with Chametz Shalom Pesach?
They give you a knas. Well, because it's like you should have done something. You didn't do it. Now you think you get away with it? Right? You can't do that. We see this also. If a person, by the way, it's like cooking on Shabbos. You cook on Shabbos. On Shabbos, you can't eat it. After Shabbos, you know, right? If you do,
Would Chazal have a problem with Chametz Shalom Pesach, but if a non-Jew owns it?
But if a non-Jew owns it, why is that Chametz Shalom Pesach? Does somebody do it all the time?
Oh, that's true.
Right?
Yeah,
that's exactly what we do.
That's your question.
Right. No, what happens if
What
happens if you cook? You wake up in the morning and you decide to bake bread, and you go bring it to your mother, and your mother's like, "What are you, a fool? Today's Shabbos." Like, "Oh my goodness, I thought it was Sunday." So, what's the status of that bread? Well, can you eat it on Shabbos?
No.
No, you can't.
No.
Eat it after Shabbos.
Can you eat it after Shabbos?
Yeah.
So if it's b'mezid, if it's intent, maybe if you woke up Shabbos morning saying today is Shabbos, I'm baking bread anyways, so you can never eat the bread. What about if it's b'shogeg? So you can eat the bread after the amount of time it takes to make the bread. So if it takes 2 hours to make bread, you can eat it after. So, but that's only midrabanan. It's not minatorah, right? Minatorah, So Chazal had the same idea. After Pesach, why can't you eat bread? Why can't you eat your chametz? You think that you were over there maybe on by matzah, you had it in your possession, you knew it was there, and they're going to come and eat it afterwards? Chutzpah, we'll give you a knas. You can't do it. I'm not quite sure people who have bread, knowingly and willingly, care too much about the knas, but after Pesach, right? Like, hard to imagine you'd be more makmeh. I guess they did tshuva. They heard a great shmooze on Isri Chag, on Motzei Pesach. They were inspired, and they regret all the chametz they owned over Pesach. So there you go. I guess that's the scenario. Okay, let's move on, guys. V'chi mishkachat leiv tulei. V'chi mishkachat leiv tulei. I don't understand. Says the Gemara, how's it going to help you if you do bittul? How will it help you? So again, I have a piece of cake. How will it help me if I do bittul? Dilla mishkachat le levatar isura, the lav birshute kaime. Because maybe it will help me because I won't be over on an isur. Because by doing bittul, it won't be in my rishus. Velo matzeh mavtil. Oh, meaning if I want this in my possession. Yeah. Oh, if it's when do I do the bittul? If I do the bittul, levatar isura. If I make this bittul chametz. So the question the Gemara asks is, when do I make this bittul? When do I do the bittul? Option A: can I do it after the zaman isura? we know that the Zman Isser is Chatzot on Erev Pesach. When do I do this bittul? After Chatzot? We're not allowed to do it after Chatzot. How come we're not allowed to do bittul after Chatzot? Says the Gemara, Lav Bershute Kamai. It is not in your possession. You could only do bittul on something in your possession. We said before, guys, that the Torah takes chametz out of your possession on Erev Pesach, meaning at Chatzot. But if it's out of my possession, I'm over and by Matzeh. They take it out of your possession, you can't nullify it, but they leave it in your possession to transgress. How this applies to other Isurei Hana'a, Avodah Zarah, we'll do with maybe another time. But when it comes to chametz on Erev Pesach, the Torah I should say, Chazal takes it out of your possession. That's what the Gemara says here. So therefore, if you want to tell me you're going to do the bittul chametz after Zman Isser, it can't be lav b'reshute kamei. It's not in your possession. You cannot nullify something in possession. I can't nullify, make your Gemara. You can't. I render that Gemara to be null and void. You can't do that to someone else. It's not in your possession. You can't nullify it. How do we know, guys, that you don't have in your possession chametz on Erev Pesach? The Gemara continues. The Amar Rabbi Lazar, Shnei dvarim einan b'rshuto shel adam, va'asan hakatuv ki'ilu b'rshuto. The Torah, sorry, I guess it's the Torah. The Torah gives us two examples of things which are not in your reshut. Right? You hear this? You hear va'asan hakatuv ki'ilu b'rshuto. So it's not in your possession. Actually, the truth is, maybe I think the better phrase is not possession, but ownership. You don't own them, but you're responsible for them. Hear the difference? We will not give you ownership, we'll give you responsibility. It's like, they're not helpful because you don't own them, but you're responsible for them. What are the two examples? Bor B'Reshut Rabim. What happens if I walk over in the middle of Bathurst Street and I dig a pit 20 feet deep? Do I own that pit? Do I own that pit?
Yeah.
No, it's a B'Reshut Rabim. Am I responsible for that pit?
Yeah.
You got it? That's what. So the Torah is. That's, by the way, what's the chiddush of bor? How do you know that bor being a form of mazik? I've done the Baba Kama before, right? Yeah. Why is it that I'm chai for a bor? I dig a pit. It's not my possession. I don't own it. I'm only chayav for things. My donkey, my ox, I'm responsible for. I own it. My car, my ball, my sword, my gun, I'm responsible for. But since I dig a pit in Reshut Rabim, the chiddush of bor, that's a form of hezek, means that the Torah says, you dig a pit in Reshut Rabim, you are liable. I don't own it. It doesn't matter if you don't own a pit. You are responsible for the pit. You hear the difference? There's no ownership responsibility. So too with chametz, guys.
So you start a fire.
The chametz, misheshor v'lamala. So the Gemara says that after sheshor v'lamala, you don't own your chametz. You're responsible for your chametz. Since you own it and you're responsible, you can't do bittul. Why can't you nullify it? Because you don't own it. You can't nullify something you don't own. You can destroy it, you can't nullify it. You can only nullify things that you own. This is the chiddush of
something that you don't own.
Yeah. The Gemara, well, that's what I like to do. That's why I like to burn chametz. Well, there's no one on it now. Now, what would I be allowed to do if I find chametz after sheshat? I'm not to burn it.
If you sell your chametz, let's say, and you find it in your house, it's out in the open, are you allowed to burn it at that point?
If I sell the chametz and I find it and it wasn't, I can burn the chametz, sure.
You don't own it.
What?
Like someone else owns it.
Well,
there's a difference between not owning and someone else owning it.
Oh, you're saying because today we all sell our chametz.
Yeah.
So if I sell if I find, but the moment I come in contact with a cracker, right? But if I find a cracker, wherever they're on the floor, I need to destroy it on Pesach. Even I'm not over and by it, I'm not saying, but I should still destroy it. Oh, Chris owns it. We sold to Ted. We sold to Chris, right? Yeah. But we say that if you find it, you should destroy it. Whatever's in the cupboards and pantries, they don't need to destroy that. You close. Let's see. By say you open up the pantry. don't have to burn everything in the pantry. Right? But something which is outside of those places, you should, because it's on the floor, it's in, I told you, right? Many years ago, we discovered on, I don't remember if it was Chag or if it was Chol HaMoed, but we had like a rocking horse. And in the rocking horse's mouth, I found like half a cracker. My son, Tzvi, when he was younger, would feed it. You know, it's like a shtick. In my parents' house. So, you were not born. No, it was before you were born. So it's good. So again, this is, by the way, this is important understanding of the Gemara. Because the Gemara is saying, what am I forced to do? So the Gemara asks, great, we've established now you got to do bittul. And what's the rationale why you need to do bittul? Because I might find glutska yafeh v'chasal ala sorfa. Right? I want to destroy it. Because remember, I can't do bittul on it because it's after sheshat. The only thing I can do is burn it. So I might regret, and I might not want to burn it, and I would transgress. So why can't I just nullify it when I discover it? The answer is because it's not in your reshut to nullify it. Mm-hmm. What would happen if I would be allowed to nullify it on this? Let's say I would be allowed to nullify it on Pesach. So then I would be over by matzah. So even if, in theory, if I were to find chametz on Pesach, and I would be allowed to nullify,
there we go.
I would be over by matzah. The technicality. Right? True, right? The Gemara is saying that why can't you nullify it? Not in your possession, nullify. Oh, but if it would be my possession,
it would be over.
I'd be allowed to. I wouldn't be over. Right? So for sure, if I burn it, I'm not over.
Yeah.
Right? Right?
Right.
That's very important. If I nullify it, I wouldn't be over. Again, if not for the fact that I took it out of my reshut. So if I would burn it, for sure it's not an eye.
Right.
I wouldn't be over. So now the Gemara is going to continue to say, well, wait a second, when am I supposed to nullify it? We've established it can't be after Chatzot on Erev Pesach, and because it's not in my possession. And the Torah took it out of my possession, and it needs to be my possession to nullify it. So when we're going to nullify it, let's go back in our Gemara. V'nivtale ba'arba. Why don't we then do bittul of the fourth hour? V'batle b'chamesh. Right? Why don't we do it at the fourth hour or the fifth hour? Meaning, why don't we just do it right before Chatzot? So it's probably the end of the fourth or end of the fifth, right? That's the, like when we do it in between then. That's what appears the Gemara seems to be saying, right? That's what, look at Rashi. Klomar, lama hutzrichu levata balayla. Why are we doing bittul at night? We all do bittul at night. Right? After we do b'dika at nighttime, what do we say? We say bittul. But why am I making my bittul chametz at night after b'dika? Do it the next morning. Do it, at the 11th hour. Why am I doing it at nighttime? Silly. Answer. Go back to Rashi for a second. Why? I understand why I need to do it before Zaman Isser. Fine, I get it. I can't do it after Chatzot. But don't exaggerate. Why am I doing it 12 hours early, 14 hours early? Right? I do B'dika 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. I have a good 12, 13, 14 hours till Zaman Isser. So why am I doing it at nighttime? I'll wait 12 hours. I'll wait 14 hours. Why now? So the Gemara says, Kevan de lav zman isserhu, for lav zman bi urehu. The Gemara says, do you know why? Oh, sorry, that's the continuation of the question, right? Kevan de lav zman isserhu, for lav zman bi'urhu. It is not zman isser, it is also zman bi'ur. Dilma pasha velo mevatle. That guy might be poshea. Why might the guy be poshea? It would be like, look at Rashi. Not poshea in terms of the guy will be, I really want chametz. No. Says Rashi, Yishkach ve'yavo l'idei pshia shal yedei ma yizkor aval achshav she'osek v'digo yizkor. Human nature. Why is it that Chazal made us do bittul at night? Just do it 12, 14 hours later. Answer, because you might come to forget. And we don't want you to forget. If we say to the guy, do it the fourth hour, do it the fifth hour, you're playing with fire. You only have a few moments left, right? It's not Zman Yisr. It's not one beer. I mean, if you do it at the time that's like, I can't remember. We know that there's an hour in between, right? You ever see, right? Last time for eating, last time for hanara. So do it. I can't eat it anymore. I have a whole hour. We're worried that you're going to forget. Do the second before Chatzot. No. We're worried you're going to forget. And let's face it, what's the best time to do bittul chametz? When you're engaged in an act of Bedika. You're engaged,
Or
your
doing
mind is,
something
you're
else.
doing something that's connected to it, so do it then.
Thinking about it.
You're thinking about it. That's what Chazal said. So, right, you're right. Technically, you're right. You could do it much later. But we're worried you're going to forget. We don't want you to forget. And therefore, we'll do it. Chazal made it takana. They put it adjacent to B'dikat Chametz, which I think, from a human nature perspective, makes sense, right? You're checking. All of a sudden, you finished. You finished cleaning. You've everything. You're preparing for the Seder already. And all of a sudden, in the middle, oh my goodness, I forgot. I didn't do Bittul. It's too late. It's after Chatzot. So that's the reason why we do it the night before. Because we're worried you're going to forget.
The night before, like the deadline to do it?
No. So, you're right. Technically, you can go to Chatzot to do it. But Chazal made Dafka, the Takana, which I think that makes sense. Do the Bittul adjacent to Bedika. Because you have it in mind. Right? That makes... okay. So then why don't you just do... I have a better idea. Why not just do it at the beginning of the 6th hour? After all, that's the time I'm doing Sreifa. Because most people would do Sreifa Chametz later, right? So why don't I just do it not during Bedika? During when doing beer. I'm already burning my Chametz, do it then. Which, by the way, what do? We do it then too, right? We do it both times. So then the Gemara says, no. V'nibato b'sheit kivan di'is tu'ad rabbanan elui kidoraita damya. V'lav b'shute kamei. V'lo matzei mevatel. So the Gemara says no. Why can't you do it at right before the 6th hour? You know why you can't do it before the 6th hour? Because midurabanan, you're not allowed to get any. It's not zman. You can't get any hana from chametz. So we move it an hour back. We don't do 6th hour, 5th hour. We do 4th and 5th. We move everything back an hour. In Mina Torah, it's chatzot, which would be equivalent on Pesach time to 1 o'clock. If I take a look at all your booklets, they're going to say 10 and 11. Because you move everything down midurabanan. Mina Torah, it is chatzot. Midurabanan, we move zman hana an hour earlier, and we move zman achila an hour before that, right? And now that we're machbiran Magen Avraham time, not what we usually do, which is the Magen Avraham, which is the Grat time. Right? You ever see like Tzosma Krishma is always 2 times, but I always do the Machmer. So we take the Why? Because you're playing around with their rights potentially. So the
Krishma, don't we do
no,
the
Krishma.
make on Krishma?
Well, yeah, although it depends on which luachs you see. You see sometimes the big luachs, that's always the Machmer time. And then the little printer, then he fits the Meko time. In our Midian, we take the Grat time. The Bai we do, we do the Grat time, we don't do the Magen Avraham time. But the luach. So again, what is the Gemara? What's the conclusion of the Gemara? So you might think we should do it around the time of Sreifa. No, because Chazal took it out of your possession midirabanan. Why? Because it's came d'oraita. So the moment Chazal said, burn it, they still removed it from your possession. So therefore, the conclusion of the Gemara is, do me a favor, don't do it. Don't do it when you're burning. Don't do it the 5th hour. Do it earlier, meaning before the 4th hour. This way, you remember to do it. And what's the ideal time to do it, of course, is right after B'dikat Chametz. So our minhag is we do it by B'dikat Chametz at night. And even we're doing Sreifa, which we say the Sreifa has to be done at the earlier time, then at 11 o'clock, usually Sreifa Chametz is like 11 or something, right? So then you can do it, you can do Bittul then. But after that time, you cannot do Bittul Chametz midurabanan. And Chazal did midurabanan ke'in d'oraita. So even though it's the end of time, only midurabanan for Hana, end of time midurabanan for Hana, you still can't do Bittul because Chazal made it as if it's Chatzot. They made it as if it's the same rules that govern the status of Erev Pesach at Chatzot. So therefore, you cannot do Bittul even after Zaman Hana from Chametz, even because Ke'en D'Oraita, because Midrabanan, it's true, it's still okay to get Hana, and in theory you could still do Bittul Chametz. Chazal said, no, you can't do anything. And therefore they removed it from your possession, you got to do it a lot earlier. Okay? So you might think that when you do the Sereifa, you'd be allowed to do Bittul. No, you can't do it then, it's out of your possession. And of course, what are we worried? The guy would do Sreifa last minute. So if you do Sreifa 10 minutes earlier, you finish Sreifa, you want to do Bittul, you can't do Bittul anymore. It's past that last hour. Therefore, we want everyone to do it, not when you're doing your destruction of Chametz, because that, in theory, could be done last minute, do it when you do your bedika, which our minhag is to do, obviously the night before, right? That's what we do. Not a minhag, that's a halacha. Okay, so the conclusion is that we do our bittul by bedika. Don't wait till, you can't do it after chatzot on Erev Pesach. It's not in your reshut. They took it out of our reshut, just like a bor, where we have responsibility but no ownership. And then in terms of when do we do it, don't do it earlier, because Chazal said, no, you can't do it. They took it out of your ability to do it. Ein doraita. The maskana is, that's why we do it by B'dikat Chametz. Okay, we'll end there for today. We'll continue the sugya next week.